Okay, I'm sure if you guys take even the slightest glance on my channel, you already know that most of my life has been around anime and manga. However, there was a time where I would read some American comics. When I was somewhere between elementary or middle school, my mom would always have this large stack of comics for me to read while I was eating breakfast. I would read them to pass the time by, but I can't say that I was really interested in any of the stories, and it definitely did not help that there were different versions and iterations of the same goddamn superhero. I watched the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies thinking he naturally had his web fluid, only to read the comic book saying that his web shooters were something he actually had to make. Sorry, but my immature mind couldn't be bothered to be invested in all these universes, so I just dropped American comics and shifted to manga. And I know, as trashy as Naruto got towards the end, there's still without a doubt only one Naruto. However, now that I am older and comic book movies start to make more of a mainstream notice, I start to have a newfound appreciation toward comics, especially towards the art. The characters had more features close to life, and the variations in style were more appealing to me. One artist in particular that I've been inspired as of late is Frank Cho. Frank Cho is a Korean-American comic book writer and illustrator that has done work for both Marvel and DC, along with a couple of works of his own. He also says these are really good art books, in which I actually own two of them, Ballpoint Beauties and Drawing Beautiful Women, the Frank Cho Method, the studio edition specifically, and it is massive. Got these directly from the Flash Publications website, and I don't regret spending a single cent on these. I said this once or twice before, but I always support your favorite artists, and Frank Cho is an artist that I particularly favor in how he draws absolutely beautiful women. You guys already know how the show goes. I'm going to look at his inked work and his colored work while taking note of things that I find worth noting. Usually for my analysis, I start off with the artist's inked work, but I sort of want to save that for last, considering I have a lot to say about it. Now, it's worth mentioning that unlike most manga artists that do the sketching, the inks, and the coloring single-handedly, comic book artists will sometimes have someone specifically designated to do the colors. I'm mentioning this now in case I accidentally show some work that was in fact not colored by him. Usually it will be mentioned in the caption of the piece, or if I am to assume correctly, their signature or initial will be included next to Frank Cho's initial. For example, I won't be looking at these two pieces as his colored work. Why? Because they were colored by Brandon Peterson. Like what I said, I'm saying this now just in case I do mess up, because sometimes there will be no caption or any sort of clarification if another artist was in charge of the coloring. With that being said, let's take a look. From looking at a few of his pieces, it seems he mostly paints traditionally. He mainly uses oil and watercolor, while sometimes using colored pencil and acrylic. I really like how in his watercolor paintings he adds some cross-hatching lines with colored pencil to add more definition to the figure. It really accentuates one of the best parts of his style, which I will come back to when talking about his inked work. Another thing that I want to point out is how he renders the skin, and specifically the colors he uses. Often you'll see skin color with a basic peach or flesh tone with a hue range that stays relatively close to these type of colors, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but by adding those subtle blue tones and just having a higher variety of hue changes, it really adds to the piece, making it interesting overall. It is really one of the highlights when working with watercolor, since the slight subtle changes in color and opacity are something that only really works with water-soluble paints. In contrast to his watercoloring, his oil paints are laid on much more thick. Since oil paints are a highly viscous medium, he can't really use the cross-hatching technique to add more definition to the figure, so instead of that, he manually renders the form in all of its intricacies. Here is where his knowledge of anatomy really starts to shine. He expertly renders the curves and plane shifts on the body, which gives all of his painted figures a three-dimensional feeling. However, personally, his mastery of rendering and anatomy shows best in his inked work. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I own two of his art books, and one of them is the Ballpoint Beauties. I literally got this book because I loved how he rendered his figures by merely cross-hatching every single inch of the human body with just a ballpoint pen. I've seen artists use cross-hatching as a means to add slight details to more shaded areas, particularly to add value when all you're working with is just black and white. However, Frank Cho takes this up to 11. That, along with his extensive knowledge of anatomy, just makes his work even better. You can clearly see the definition in the muscles, which shows that these pieces must take hours upon hours to complete. His inked work also has a really distinctive flair to it as well. According to his art book, he says he's based his inking style from the way Franklin Booth illustrates his pieces. Basically, it's to imitate the effects of engravings and woodcuts, and he achieves this effect by varying the weight of the lines and the distance between them, and on top of that, he could choose to ink along the contours of the object as well. This effect is used especially well when it's applied to the fabric and drapery he draws. Looking at it is just mesmerizing. Even feels a bit abstract with how it plays with your eyes. Sort of reminds me of how Atsushi Okubo renders his fabric in an abstract geometric way, which I still think is one of the coolest ways to render clothing. And while we are on the topic of comparing manga and comic art, I want to take some time to say how I love his overall art style. Most people that know me will probably think I hate the anime/manga style. However, I will say that one, hate is sort of a strong word. It's more that as a person that really loves anime and manga, I'm just a bit worn out from seeing the same reductions, simplifications, and style choices that permeate all over the place. Hence why I now sort of bounce between comic book artists and manga artists. In the case of Frank Cho, I love the stylistic choices he makes in his art. It can be very small details, but you can be amazed how simply adding an upper lip and a nostril can take someone in terms of style. And I personally like how he's able to draw women that are not only beautiful, but strong and fierce as well. See, now overall, the reason why I decided to make Frank Cho the first comic book artist that I look at from our artist analysis series is because of his distinct techniques in his style. His cross-hatching in particular is incorporated really well in his watercolor pieces, and even without it, for his oil paintings, his knowledge of anatomy lets him render it really well. And that extends to his ballpoint pen illustrations where he uses nothing but cross-hatching with an occasional red ink. Also, incorporating a portion of Franklin Booth's technique and using varying line weights also helps in achieving a really unique effect. Frank Cho has an Instagram that you should really follow if you want to see more of his artwork, and he also has a lot of art books if you want to see more insight in his artistic process. And yeah, that was Frank Cho. I did say that he is one of the artists that I love in the way he draws beautiful women, but there is actually one more artist that I really like slightly better in terms of how they draw women that I'm actually going to be talking about real soon. Hey guys, it's me again. I got another one out. I'm glad if you made it this far, if you got to the end of the video, thank you. And yeah, thank you so much for always sticking around and watching these videos. This time I decided to tackle a comic book artist, sort of to like shift into different gears. I feel like I've been only talking about like Japanese manga artists and video game character designers, and I think I want to sort of like spread my analysis series a bit farther than that. So yeah, next I sort of foreshadowed that I would be doing Adam Hughes. If you know who that artist is, I plan to do him right after. Well, I'm actually gonna get ready to work on the script for that video right after, so I hope you guys look forward to that. Thank you for all the people that are subscribing. I'm almost up to 500. I cannot believe it. It really is a snowball effect. I've been uploading a video every week or so. I've been doing it consistently for I think a month or two right now, and the results are really showing, and I really feel like I could take this far. It's still like a long journey, but I'm willing to walk it. I can make it to 1,000. So yes, again, thank you for the comments. I read them. People are saying that, oh my god, you're so underrated, and whenever I read those comments, I'm just rejuvenated with all this motivation, and that pushes me to make even more content. And I want to try uploading twice a week, because if uploading like one video a week is able to get me this far, I feel like this high frequency will definitely yield a lot better results. So yes, again, thank you. I know I'm saying thank you a lot because I honestly I was stuck at like 27 subscribers for the longest time. But yeah, I will be doing some other art videos too in the meantime. Maybe a speed paint, maybe some sort of painting or something art related. This is an art channel. I'm trying to keep it focused. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And again, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.